Talking about you got this and you got that, and you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'm gonna put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know that I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast, where, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but is not limited to, Platt and Hanks. What's poppin', baby?
Hey, man, I can't hear in my headphones, but I know you're talking to me right now.
And my man, Jeff Platt.
Hello.
I knew Hanks was having some technical difficulties.
I can hear in one ear.
I have nothing.
No, you can read
One
lips
ear
though,
is
right?
better than none. Sorry, that's my fault, Mr. Hanks.
Yep.
Wait, he said he has none.
Is it a good show?
You actually
Soft
can't hear
tooth.
anything?
Good start.
I got nothing.
it might be
I
the
feel
wrong-
like I'm on the what is the show again? God damn it.
Talk to her?
Talk to her?
Oh, the show where nobody can hear anything when they're playing poker.
Poker
Out Loud.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Oh, thanks.
You might
yes.
have the wrong wire.
New
plugged
episode
into
of
those
Poker Out
headphones.
Loud just dropped this week, by the way.
Oh, nice.
It'd be hard to have the wrong wire plugged in. It doesn't fit.
Maybe just jiggle it.
I think there's only one
jiggle,
wire.
Why don't you jiggle it a little bit?
You know,
Why don't
just
you give
jiggle
us a little jiggle?
Give it a little jiggle.
Let me see,
on
man.
it.
I'll
Yeah,
fix
jiggle
it.
that up a little bit there.
Wow.
There we go.
That one, yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like these guys work in production.
Yeah.
True.
Mhm.
True talent.
Every time they
Yeah.
come, they just got to fix something.
The real question is, what do we
He
do?
probably just muted the headphones.
Nothing, Burke. The answer is
Nah.
nothing.
Yeah, well, what do we actually do during that 5-minute
Nothing.
countdown, during the pre-production?
Say things we shouldn't say and hope the mics are off.
Yeah.
Man tells no lies.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Man. So you guys had a fun week in the studio.
Oh, yeah.
You had the
Haley.
the poker celebrity
Celebrity
tour.
Poker
Celebrity
Tour.
Poker
Is
Tour.
it-
It's
is
not-
it
CPT
really a-
Invitational
Is it
4.
really a tour? It's an invitational that takes place in the studio.
Yeah.
The fourth one.
They got a tour of the studio.
So the annual, if you will.
Multiple times a year.
Oh, multiple
With
times.
the
a year.
championship coming up on November 20th.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. And Nemo's just like leading the way here. She.
First and a second.
Yeah.
Pretty
Absolute
strong.
beast.
Yeah.
Pretty strong,
Wow.
I would say.
I don't need to wear the headphones, right? I mean, I can
No,
hear
you're
you
good.
perfectly.
Yeah,
fine
no, you're
without-
good.
fine.
Yeah.
Is
What
this
a-
just for aesthetics?
Yeah,
Well,
you
you know,
That's the bottom of it.
basically.
If we run any clips or things of that nature, you won't hear them now.
I'll let
Yeah.
you know.
You know.
The clips.
Just let me know.
It's to reduce cacophony.
Well,
Oh,
just give me a little signal if I need to shut up. Thanks, man.
Sounds good.
He'll get the night on you.
We're done here. I think this is it.
Welcome to the night show.
All right, so
Beginning of the end.
the celebrity poker tour, as you so fondly refer to it.
That's what it's called. It's
okay.
not like it's
Wow.
just us referring to it. It's the
I mean-
title.
Seems like you made that one up on the spot, Jeff.
Celebrity Poker Tour. It's
Okay,
perfect name.
yeah.
They're
I mean,
crushing
if you say so. Okay.
More than 1 million views for CPT Game Night.
There were more people watching live on the CPT Game Night, which was a 15K prize pool with 8 people in the smaller studio that we have built in there, than there were in last year's main event when it was on YouTube.
That's insane.
Let that sink in.
That's unreal.
Yeah, that's how big. I mean,
A
it's-
million views?
we had
Yeah,
2
I
different
mean-
videos.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's tuning in for this? What's the general audience here? Is it the fans of the players that are in
Yeah,
the game?
so
Yeah.
Ethan Klein streamed it on his YouTube, and that
Ah.
did super well.
Should I know who Ethan Klein is? I feel like I should.
Just pretend like you do. Ethan.
Dwight Howard's a big fucking dude, huh?
Mhm.
Oh, he's an animal.
Yeah.
Absolute animal. And he was getting everyone's number at the table. Did you notice that? Specifically the ladies around him.
I did not.
Ah.
Smart,
He's got his
savvy.
own podcast that he was getting
Smart.
contact information from celebrities from.
That is true. Confirmed.
Everyone's
He's a
moving to
networker.
podcasts.
Networking.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
networking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a lot, I think, of what that event is about for a lot of these
Yeah.
influencers. that
For sure.
come
For
in.
sure.
It's an opportunity to sit around at a table. You've got Haley Welch, which Berkey will always call Hawk2a girl. She's there
Disrespectful.
with
I
Dwight
have questions,
Howard,
by the way.
with Ethan Klein, H3, with his wife Ela Klein, who is the founder of Teddy Fresh, by the way, Jeff's favorite clothing apparel that he's not wearing today.
No, I had to go
Horrible
see
publicity.
today. My bad.
Did you go to the game?
Yes.
No.
Continue.
Quite
You know
the game.
Teddy Fresh?
Continue.
No,
Oh,
I have
you would
no
like
clue.
Teddy Fresh. That's
Okay.
your kind of stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll look into it.
But anyway, it's a melting pot, a smorgasbord of different influencers and types that where a lot of these folks would never interact if it wasn't for this type of event, a celebrity poker.
Who brought this together? Like, who puts this on?
Boy Quinn.
Oh, okay. So this is Enclave.
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
I gotcha.
They just renamed the first, I don't know if they called it the Enclave Invitational, something like that, and
Yeah,
decided
so-
to go full rebrand, really build it into something with multiple events
Which,
throughout the course of the year.
correct me if I'm wrong, that wasn't even a plan until they had that
Right.
first event,
Right.
saw what a success it was, and said, you know what, screw it. Let's just form the Celebrity Poker Tour.
Do they free roll everybody? Like, what's the
Yeah.
incentive for the players?
It's total free roll.
Okay. And the prize pool is
And the prize pool for this last invitational was 50K.
Yeah.
okay.
For a game night for a one table sit and go, it's 15K.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
pretty
the
good.
one in November, the championship, that's going to be 100K.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sick. Berkey, I just want to let you know,
Yep.
Teddy Fresh, what he just told you to get.
Mhm.
When I look it up, it's the cover page is just like Teletubby T-shirts.
That's just a small page. Girl, I'm telling you, they gave us a bag each. This stuff's awesome.
Stylish.
You wear it every day, don't you? Am I making this up?
Not today.
Yeah, that was a bit of a stretch.
And your girlfriend is actually the one that got you started on Teddy Fresh. She
Right.
said, "You
Anything
need to look
fashionable I would
nicer."
get from her. Yes. So Teddy Fresh is part of the wardrobe.
No
for sure.
free
Great
ads, but
hoodies.
Teddy
No free
Fresh,
ads.
Great
Check out
site,
Teddy
great
Fresh.
Clothing. Check out
I
Teddy
mean,
Fresh.
and
it's a
the
great
H3
name,
show.
right? How can
I'm
you not be
looking over
fresh?
Conrad's shoulder. I got to tell you.
Yeah, I don't see Berkey really wearing the Teddy Fresh.
I see a
Maybe a
rainbow
hoodie
colored
here.
No, I
tie
think he's a
dye.
Teddy Fresh hoodie guy.
I might be.
Yeah.
I might take that like 6-color hat that you got there. That one looked okay.
Cool color wave hoodie.
I think
Yeah.
Berkey's style is misunderstood a lot.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah.
Look, I mean,
yeah.
there you
There we
go.
go.
Thank
It's
you. We're-
actually literally
again, no
Teletubbies.
free ads, but we're just going to run through.
He wasn't joking. It's fucking Teletubbies, Brent.
No, some of it. What page are you on? This is
This is the women's clothing.
You're in the women's clothing. Go to men's clothing and take a look at
No
the
free ads,
Berkey
by the way.
collection.
We're looking for the Berkey collection.
Yeah.
And again,
should
this is
say.
no
Yes.
free ads, but this is
Sounds like
teddyfresh.com. You can go check it out now.
Check their hoodies.
How did he
Guapo.
get-
Let's do the hoodies and sweatshirts.
How did he get access to Teletubby merch?
Now look at. I mean,
Got a
these are
licensing
great.
deal.
These are great.
Yeah, look. Are you kidding me? This is your. Look at the brown. Yeah.
The
That's
one with the
women's as
patches,
well.
I'm
I think.
sorry.
I
I
can
I
see
think the one
Berkey
with the
wearing
patches
that.
is something you would wear.
No,
but-
it's not.
The quilt print.
It
Quilt
just is
print
not.
sick.
Vintage wash crew.
Mhm.
Classic zip hoodie.
No.
These look
this
like
is
all the
such a
hoodies that
big
Brent would
no.
buy in bulk and just
And
like
never
mass
wear.
and then just sit in his closet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're
The
gonna
one
find
with
some
the little,
Yeah.
the
That's
little
good
teddy
stuff.
bear out there.
I will tell
like
you
that
this.
one,
I will tell you this.
I
I
Got
will,
that one on the
a lot.
left.
I will find a piece of clothing on Teddy Fresh and I will buy it and wear it. But
Okay.
so far, this ain't it.
Right.
We're gonna find
This is
something.
100%.
I know, I
Brent
have that
looking
one.
at. I can see it in real time. Brent's looking at this. He's like, "These things are so cool," and then he'll buy it and he'll look at it and be like, "I'm never wearing this
Yeah.
in public." There's no way.
He for sure has that like checker hoodie.
Yeah,
And
right.
just like,
but he's just
no.
never gonna
Like-
cut
like-
dead in public.
Yeah,
I
like
don't
Liz
want
was
to-
just like,
Checkered one, yeah.
would've been good.
yeah, Liz was like, no. So your girlfriend's into the Teddy Fresh.
Yeah, she's into
Yeah,
Teddy
she-
Fresh.
She's a big fan of Jeff Platt, dolled out in Teddy Fresh.
Dolled up. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
That's a
You
good way to
look
put it, yeah.
lovely in Teddy Fresh.
Thank you. So Brent
Yeah.
Hanks, big fan of me and Teddy
I can
Fresh
see you
here
in that,
also.
Berk.
I mean, Jeff looks pretty much good in anything.
Oh, thank you, thank you,
really
Brian.
just
Thank
styling it out.
If
Like that.
anybody were to wear that apparel in this room,
It'd probably be me.
no,
Oh.
no, it would not. You're a grown adult.
I think it'd be
it would be
Connie, right?
Landon.
You wear suits.
would be
It
Landon.
would be Landon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would clearly be
I
Landon.
would wear only.
He ordered
stayed
3
quiet.
hoodies while we were having that discussion.
Correct.
Right now.
That's absolutely correct.
I would wear the
You're welcome,
plain one
Teddy.
with the little teddy bear on it. Like, so,
Nice.
or if they made it a
I could
bigger,
see that.
like a embroidered teddy bear, like on the front or something like that. I'd do something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's your. Yeah, I can
Conrad's open for
It's a nice
consulting
vibe.
if you're trying to
Yeah,
hire.
if
Yeah.
you guys want to know about Connie Fresh, holla.
Teddy Fresh. Nice.
It's real,
If
big.
you're not familiar with, I think you said this earlier, Ethan Klein and the H3 podcast. I wasn't either until we met them a couple shows ago. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
The dude, they are so funny.
He's very comedy adjacent. Like he's done Two Bears, One Cave. He's done Tiger Belly. He's made the rounds with all the comedians. Yeah, he's good.
Really good. Lamanna, I'm looking at you specifically.
Okay.
Would love this stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Just
Send me
as
some
much
links.
as Matt would love Teddy Fresh.
I'm sorry, what?
Like he'd love that just as much
Brent's
as you.
Rex are really popping off here.
I'll give it a chance.
No free ads.
You would like,
No free ads, but somebody that I do enjoy, actually a designer from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Yinzer to the core, John Geiger. Went to Old Point Park. I got a pair of shoes. They're black and gold. They're just called Steeler Yellow.
Nice.
Oh, I like that.
He hits the sweet spot. You know?
This
He
kind of
gets it.
yellow right
Yeah,
here.
he fucking gets it.
It's the old B spot, huh?
Yeah. Okay. How was meeting one of my internet crushes?
So let me say, because you actually met her, that our director, George Maxwell, does a terrific job. Alongside Brent, I have never seen the two of them get a picture with one of our guests on any show until Haley Welch arrived in the studio, and both George and Brent got a picture with her.
This is true.
She was great.
I wanted
She's
that on
stunning.
break.
She's absolutely gorgeous.
I didn't do it because of that.
Well, then why did you do it?
I
Good
love
question.
the content. Brand new
Love the
podcast for Haley
A lot
Welch.
of content was out.
Yeah, talk to her.
Talk to her.
Genius title, by the way. And
Yeah.
if she hasn't already come up with a logo, I'm here for it. I got it for you.
Oh,
Jesus.
God.
Okay.
I'm
What,
a
now,
little
Brent,
Yeah.
are you trying to be a
Look,
prop?
no, this is the way my mind works. I'm telling you, this is good. You know the emoji of it's like a shadow figure of a profile of a person,
It's like speaking.
speaking
Oh, yeah,
with
yeah.
like what appears to be sound, but actually very easily could be spit.
That's pretty good.
That's the logo.
That's pretty easy right
That is
there.
it.
That's
It's
pretty
simple.
clever.
It's
That's
clean.
good. Yeah.
It's talk to hawk to. We're right in the same lane. Talk to my people. Let's get this done.
We can connect you guys
You
now.
are your people.
I am my people. You're right. No,
She's
Tom's
made her
my
rounds too. Lamanna, you're a big Bill Maher guy still, right? Or did you get off Bill Maher because
He's kinda like-
he's
He
not
finally
living off
saw the light.
Yeah, no.
Finally saw the
I
light.
saw that. I saw she
Bill
was on
Maher,
his.
Brian.
She was on his podcast. Like,
You don't like Bill Maher anymore?
he's all right. He just kind of like is.
He's not woke enough.
No, he's just he's becoming cringy.
I think Bill
you're
Maher
becoming cringy.
is the left's version of Ben Shapiro.
Anybody says that,
Both of which I think are just like utterly insufferable.
When Bill Maher, who maybe is the only person in the world that went from Bernie to Klobuchar, that's a I don't know.
Oh man, we need a bad political take graphic so bad. Like, you know how we have a tangent graphic? We just need like bad political take. every
I
time
have
this pops
no
up.
bad political
Who's
takes.
Klobuchar?
Well, you know, it's the
Amy
right
Klobuchar,
season.
she's a senator from Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what did you say, Brett?
It's the right season. You know, the election.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to dive
Lamanna's
into
Oh,
it.
we
gonna be
already did
unhinged.
Friday. We got into it. a little
I'm
bit.
excited to burn our entire audience to the ground.
down to the ground.
You're not
Are
going to
you
make
gonna,
anybody happy.
I remember we all lived together when Obama.
I used to love Bill Maher. Yeah, back in the day.
I
Like
think
a
with
real time was
Religion
like
came out
one of my.
there.
Yeah.
When Obama was elected, we all lived together.
Yeah,
And
yeah, we did. That's right.
election day, Obama, Lamanna you were crying.
I was
You
yeah.
were bawling. I was hammered.
I was
Nice
yeah.
moment.
A little drunk,
Wine drunk, a little emotional.
little high.
And I predict that if Kamala is elected, you will also weep.
No, no.
I think I'm past the weeping.
I don't think so. Look, you have to understand.
I don't have that emotion is not there. That was for Obama. It's
not there anymore.
It's not there. I'm you know.
You have to understand that
Hashtag-
Obama for Lamanna was a real milestone moment. He had just gone through 2 elections where Bush found a way to get elected.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I say he was blind drunk for both of them,
It became a tradition, right? Where I would just get a 30 rack of Bud Light
in 2004,
and just go vote and then go drink
in 2004, when Bush got reelected,
and then call Berkey.
Lamanna, we were very close to this move to Vegas. I think we were like 3 years removed at that point, and we've been grinding.
23 years old at this point.
Yeah, we've been grinding for a year and a half or 2. We mended our friendship and found poker to be the middle ground. And I just remember not caring because how is this ever going to impact me? And I just had no opinions on anything. I don't know anything about politics, especially at 23. And I just remember like 9 p.m. Lamanna calling me incapable of putting a sentence together, but just sobbing in the phone. Just
I wasn't sobbing. I was mad.
yeah, blind rage, tears.
Hashtag
I don't
weep
know.
for Obama.
There wasn't a single coherent word that was spoken. I asked him how many beers he had. And it was like 2 cases of Natty Ice, I'm sure. That was the drink of choice at the time.
It was I think it was Natty Light back then, not
oh
ice.
yeah, you got to watch your figure.
Yeah, Natty
That's what I
Light.
love about
But
Laverne.
we've grown up, so now we drink Bud Light.
Yeah, but that passion,
That woke beer,
that passion, that emotion, that's you. That's what makes
Right.
Lamana.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love it.
I
Right.
think we've turned the page again. Now he, like the rest of us, just see a betting market for me.
I do. I love Paulie
and
Market.
it's just dollar signs. It's like, where's the line going to move
yeah,
today?
I do love Paulie Market.
What's the news? Crypto dropped. Trump is now a favorite.
I'm also like more open-minded to other people's views, if you will.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't have my own. And
So you're
I still-
open-minded to Trump being elected.
I'm not. Let's not get out of control here. But like,
He will weep.
but no. But like, I like to like before. I would be like, oh my god, if I disagree with you, then you're just wrong on everything, and you're a bad person, and all this stuff. And then now I'm just like, I'd rather like listen and talk to people and understand
to
why they differ with me and how they think that voting for a certain candidate is going to like make the country better. Maybe they do want the country to be better. They want, just because you have a different political view doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that kind of thing.
Well, we've
So-
seen
Unless you're Bill Maher, I guess.
Yeah.
Unless you're Bill Maher,
yeah.
he's off.
He's absolutely awful.
We've seen some families fall apart over politics.
Yeah.
We can't name any names, but my God, it's happened.
Oh, for sure.
That's right. I get the reference now.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
fucking wild.
Yeah.
You know whose political take I would love to just sit down and really just get a deeper look at? Haley Welch. Talk to a girl.
We're
What-
circling back, huh?
Well, yeah. What
Great way
He's
to
not
connect it all.
who are you voting for this
I'm
year?
not
Great
gonna
way to connect.
try
it
and
all.
make any assumptions, but when you're from a town in the depths of Tennessee that has a population less than Fillmore, New York, the town that
No
I am
way.
from. It's smaller than the town that I'm from.
And
I'm going to go out on a limb.
How many
Deep
people were
down
in your
south
town?
in that little town, we're not all aboard the Kamala Express.
Right.
Call me crazy.
We come from a small town
Yeah.
that's probably bigger than both your towns combined. But it's
Yeah.
still a small town, and it's very, very red. Yeah.
Look up the town she's from in Tennessee. I'm telling you, stats department, Mr. Guapo. Sure. Take a look at this. It's fewer than 700 people.
How many people are in your hometown?
Fewer, maybe
1,000?
Fillmore smaller now. It's right around 600. So
Wow.
they're
Bravo,
very
Mark.
It's a
close.
one-horse town without
Point
a horse.
being, you've seen a very small town where I'm from.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
this town where she's from might even be smaller.
Yeah. I mean, we only had one stoplight. We had 2,700
We got
people.
two.
No.
Did you have a McDonald's?
What?
There's only one.
What are you talking about?
Just the one on Main Street.
The one on Main Street and the one on whatever 66 is. Right by
That's
the
the one.
IGA.
That's the one I'm talking about.
There's the one by IGA, and then
Yeah.
there's the one by where
The Sunoco is? That's
Yeah,
not a stop.
or-
That's a stop sign, right?
BP. No.
Did you have a
shit.
McDonald's?
This is riveting.
Oh,
If you guys could just have this discussion for the rest of the show.
Was,
We have two stop.
McDonald's is a solid 6-7 mile drive.
Okay.
Walmart,
Treat
Walmart
yourself.
30 miles.
Oh,
Closest Walmart 30 miles.
Okay,
That's why we
McDonald's
all
is
came
not
together.
7 miles.
Well, you walk it.
Walking. I mean, walking. That doesn't. What does that mean?
That means you'll know that it's about 7 miles.
It is not from Leechburg.
This
from
is going to
downtown
be a
Leechburg.
hit show.
Is that like the reference where you and your friends would like drive away from Brian and leave him lost?
Oh, that we would just walk around town. So our town, probably 1 square
Fucking
mile
assholes.
total, which is the perfect size, by the way, if you're trying to play a game of let's lose someone, but give them a fair shot to find you by the end of the night.
I always did.
As a resilient little fucker.
So she is from
Pop out of the bushes.
She's from Belfast, Tennessee.
There it is.
Belfast.
Yeah.
There's a Belfast right next to Fillmore.
844 residents.
Crazy small.
Wow.
Yeah.
The thing with the difference between what we're talking about, though, is like with Fillmore and Belfast, at least I'm assuming anyway, they're also bordered by other very tiny towns.
Yes, in fact, Fillmore's bordered by Belfast.
Belfast. I know. That's what I was saying. Belfast.
It's the
Yeah.
nearest town.
So like for us, we're bordered by 2 small towns to the east and west. But if you just go like, I don't know, like 5 to 10 miles in
Right, but next to McDonald's.
Yeah, right. in any other direction.
You find civilization again?
Well, you start to find like where Pat McAfee's from, which is very close to Monroeville. Yeah. So you start to get to suburbs very quickly, I guess.
Why is Bill Moore?
One direction, you immediately hit farms. The other direction, you immediately hit suburbs. It's the strangest little pocket of middle of nowhere.
I love it.
When's Pat McAfee coming on the show? It's going to happen. I genuinely see it happening at some point.
I really don't think it will, man.
Maybe WrestleMania
I would
week.
say the next MMA, the next time, who is it? Patty the Batty fights. He'll be in town, so we'll have to give him a shot.
The thing is, he loves poker.
Mm-hmm.
Right, WrestleMania week. He'll be here the whole week doing press. Why can't he just?
He was here
press
during Super Bowl week too. Like, fuck, I fucked up. I should have you could literally walk up to his set during press row. Like they were set up where it was. I think it was at Mandalay Bay.
I remember that setup.
It was at Mandalay Bay,
where
right?
they talked to The Rock, right?
Yeah. And it was like a big convention center. You could basically just like walk up and just be there and be like, "Hey, hi,
poker guy."
Poker guy. We tweeted each other once.
Come on, my podcast,
You have to bring
please.
that. Bring the frame.
You follow me.
Bring that. Bring the thing behind you.
Honestly, like. It's less about how do I get him on this pod because I don't think that ever happens, or vice versa. I don't really think I ever get on there. But how do we get him more interested in poker to the point where it becomes less than once a year type of thing on his show?
I have a solution.
Go ahead.
He should
Celebrity
play in
Poker
the
Tour.
Celebrity Poker Tour.
Yep, there it is.
You know what?
Which his name has been brought up by the founders. Apparently, they actually
Have a
have
path
had these
to get to?
conversations.
I think the only shot, he's just so goddamn busy. I don't know why I'm speaking for him like I'm a personal friend or rep.
You guys go
but
way
you are
back.
right.
But
Pat,
he's just
we
like
go way back.
He's just doing so many things that I think the only way it would work is if he was in town already for something else.
Right.
And like the likelihood of overlapping that is low.
And I think you have to have a couple cases of beers, some edibles for him. You have to have
I can handle that.
You have to have a
Vegas,
party
like-
pack ready for him.
That won't be an issue. But no, I'm serious. Like, do you know his backstory when it comes to poker?
They'll do a CPT stuff during the Super Bowl.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, he had to
They're
run
not
up a
hosting it here
bankroll to
anymore.
afford something, right? To make a purchase.
Yeah, to get into college. Yeah,
so
please tell this story.
he played in high school, and like the backstory was that he needed $1,400 to go to a kicking camp. I can't remember where, in like South Carolina or North Carolina or something like that. And he had like 4. And there was a local underground game that he went and probably fucking Patsy's game. He goes and sits in it. It's like minimum buy-in. Somehow spins it up to like 1,900. Goes to the kicking camp. Wins the kicking camp, gets a scholarship to WVU, and then ends up in the pros. Otherwise, he had like no scholarships anywhere, no real looks.
So he owes his entire career to poker.
Basically, yeah.
Wow.
And he's told the story like hundreds of times on a bunch of different podcasts. Like, how are we missing this low-hanging fruit? That has to be a way. Because like 5 years ago when he first told the story, he didn't matter that much. Like, he had a big podcast the same way everybody else has a big podcast. But 5 years later, he's literally the biggest thing in sports media.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that's like rivaled. Like, I think he's bigger than Skip Bayless now. I think he's bigger than a lot of these guys that went the corporate route.
Nobody else would be allowed to go to Ireland, sit in a bar for God knows how many hours, and get absolutely shit-faced on ESPN.
Front row, hammered drunk.
Shirt just ripped right off.
Like, nobody. Just having Nick Saban sit right next to him.
And the thing is it's like, it's something that's hilarious to talk about as like folklore that like this happened. But watching it, I watched the show. It was insufferable. Like every 10 minutes, he would break a conversation of Nick Saban talking and just go, ho, 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 ho. And the next thing you know, they're all downing a fucking Guinness. It's like, this is not good TV, but like the fact you're willing to do this
Would have been
is so
fun to
great.
be there, though.
Why don't you make it a point? You guys are live every single day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It's
Every
the daily
single
segment.
show,
Yeah.
do a call out to Pat McAfee
Wow.
until he actually comes on the
Day
show.
one of yelling at Pat McAfee
So
until
this
he
is
gets to the
day
pod.
one
Yeah.
Yes.
of you asking Pat McAfee, will you please come on our show the next time you're in Las Vegas from Yinzer to Yinzer?
Right. Yeah.
You want to tell the
I
story.
think you're onto something.
I think you
I'm
just
with
born a
them.
segment. This is day
There
one.
it is.
This is
a
Brent
very
Hanks'
simple
version.
segment.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that, Brent, is that we have to stay on air long enough for it to work. And that would mean like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of more shows.
Maybe you can
It's a great-
You
it's a
just
great
never know. We
McAfee
got to
clip,
start
by the
somewhere,
way.
man.
When do I get to quit?
Maybe never.
No, there's no quitting.
Once
You've
Pat
never
McAfee
quit.
comes on the show,
Yeah,
that's your
sure.
last show.
Wow.
Once we get Pat on
That's
the show.
the last show. That's how we go out.
That's the segment.
Yeah.
Series finale.
Just,
Yep.
That's it.
And Jeff, if you want to do the same thing from our new podcast that we're going to start soon.
What are we?
New
podcast?
Well,
No,
well,
we're
What
not doing
happened
a
to the
podcast.
old podcast?
Well, that's turned into a TV show. Yeah.
Well,
Gambling,
you
no
can
Future.
still,
nice
you know,
to
you can
see.
have the adjacent podcast, by the way.
Well, we should bring it back. And if you want to, Jeff, you could, Celine Dion. That's always
I
been
don't-
your favorite.
That's your dream? That's your dream.
I wouldn't want to interview Celine Dion. I would like to see her perform, which I have already. Don't mean to brag. I don't have any interest in doing a podcast with you or interviewing Celine Dion.
This is the opportunity.
No, it's not. I think we're good. We can jump on this podcast.
Why did you guys stop potting? I enjoyed it. If you guys would start again, I'd quit.
I think it just naturally transitioned into a TV show.
Yeah.
Like it was just better for the both of us. It was
passed
better
away
for poker
gracefully.
going.
Man, I don't know how you guys do it. Well, I mean, you have this beautiful. We have the studio, but you have this great setup.
You're
Feels like
about
a
to
home.
call a fucking townhome, like janky setup that we threw together overnight a beautiful studio when you're in fucking Poker Go.
No, we were in the
Yeah.
office. It was
With like a
different.
green
screen.
It's a green. I don't know. This just feels
Look at
like
the-
a
look at the
cozy
background you have.
home environment.
Yeah.
Just
The
boys
plants
being
back there?
boys coming together. With us, it felt more corporate-y.
Yeah,
In a way,
it was once a
professional
week.
boys.
It was hard to
We
get
did
into a
not have a
rhythm.
consistent schedule. Like every week was going to be a different day. And I think if you're going to be a successful podcast, you kind of have to build a habit, a cadence with your audience every day, same time, same place, be here, that sort of thing. We didn't have that.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you actually, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to ask you. What is your opinion when it comes to, because you're both avid sports watchers, as am I, and I think a lot of like my decisions are modeled off of that arena. What are your thoughts when it comes to poker and the way that we kind of prop up the game when it comes to media, when it comes to all these outlets? Like, the truth be told, the reason this podcast exists is only because I saw a glaring hole in the marketplace and a need for it, not because I think that I'm particularly well suited for this. Like, if somebody better came out and started a daily show, I would be so happy to just say, changing of the guard, this is you. Like, you're clearly much better at this than I am, and this is just what the space needed at the time. Like, happy to move along. Do you guys think that, A, I'm even correct that poker needs this, or B, that we may be missing the mark that sports does a really good job of like saturating their public with?
Let me say first, not just because I'm here, not just because you're here, that I do think, especially within the poker world, that you're very well suited for this because you are opinionated. I'm not sure if you have come to that conclusion before.
You just call me
I'm not
cunt?
fucking opinionated, Jeff.
But you can also present your opinions in such a dynamic way that makes for entertainment on a podcast while hosting it,
While people enjoy disagreeing.
while taking us through like a discussion and a debate and knowing how to format it and taking us through the steps of that. I'm not sure there are many people, I mean, myself included, who can do that. Like, that's why we have our separate roles. I think I can host, lead you through a show, etc., but expressing opinions not really my thing, and you might be the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're very polished. I am an idiot. So it just.
I didn't want to say it like that, but yeah.
For Berkey, too, the other thing that I think it just makes sense. You cut your teeth in high stakes cash games. You've got success in bigger buy-in tournaments. I mean, Super High Roller Bowl feels like a decade ago, but you final tabled that when it was in its prime.
It was a
You know,
decade
when
ago.
that was one of the biggest spectacles of the year. There's a fucking movie about it, for crying out loud.
I had to win a
I don't
lottery
really
pick just to
think
get in.
That there's many out there that can place you like you're suggesting. You're very articulate, opinionated, which Jeff has already touched on, and you've got the resume. There is a need, clearly. You guys do this every day. You've got a very say a substantial audience that people come in, they look forward to this every single day.
Very loyal audience, yes.
Very loyal,
Yeah.
yeah. So you've tapped into that. What I'm really curious is if, let's say Daniel Negreanu and Nick Schulman wanted to start a daily show, talk about poker. Not that this would ever happen, because it wouldn't. Nick would never commit to this. Daniel wouldn't even commit to it. What would that transcend this sort of show, this sort of space? Would they actually get into a much larger market? I don't know. No one's ever done it.
That's kind of my speculation. I actually think there are a lot of pairings that would do a much better job at this. Like, I think about this show. Obviously, like, I draw a lot of parallels to the Pat McAfee show. Like, that's what we modeled after.
Yeah.
But I also think of it very similarly to like the TNT. I can't think of the name of it, but with Charles Barkley,
Inside
Shaq.
the NBA.
Yeah, Inside the NBA. Thanks. So I think of it very much similar to that structure, with maybe what I think it lacks, or what I'm forced to play, is the role of, like, I wear all the hats, right? So on Inside the NBA, you have Ernie, who kind of like leads the discussion.
Jeff's Ernie.
Exactly. Yeah, precisely. And then you have like Shaq and Charles's dynamic as the two pros who kind of give or kind of the analyst and things of that nature, and they have some fill-in characters in between. Like what Jeff described, I'm kind of doing both.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is ideal. I do think, especially with bigger names, if you were to get, like, if Jeff were to take on being the host of a show, and his two co-hosts were Shulman and Negreanu, or Hellmuth and someone else with an opinion. Basically, two people that would have would often disagree. Like, Doug kicked around an idea of him and I doing a podcast together. Of course, that would hit because we're oil and water. But it would only the shelf life is so short because people can only watch disagreements for so long before it just blows up the way that. I mean,
People love.
Oh, I don't know. Isn't that what those ESPN? I mean,
Pardon the interruption has been going on for
pardon the interruption.
long.
part of the interruption, they're all very, like, him and Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser very much are friends, and they very much like each other.
Yeah.
And they agree as much as they disagree. Right. Around the Horn, it's the same thing. It's just like kind of like a debate show, whatever.
I'm pretty sure Skip and
that was where I was going to go.
Hate each other.
Right. When you start to look at like Skip Bayless's show, when you start to look at like First Take, these shows have been around for a long time, but they constantly have turnover because the hosts are so they're so insufferable. Right? Like, Shannon Sharp was maybe the most talented person to be on air on any of those platforms, and he was forced to just go do a solo project because he couldn't fucking take it.
Which is the best thing that's ever happened to sports media in general.
Yeah.
Like, right after Pat, I don't even know if it's after Pat McAfee. He is honestly so entertaining, so fucking good at podcasting. Shannon Sharp is elite. He's fucking sharp.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
go on.
this connects really well to the question that you asked about sports and comparing it to the poker broadcast we do. We called it a break desk. It was like a pregame show, a halftime show sort of thing. Myself, Brent, and Maria. But when you look at Inside the NBA doing the same thing, they can have more natural disagreements, right? What are your thoughts on Paul George or Luka, et cetera, and can have genuine disagreements. Are Brent and Maria supposed to like disagree as to how great Steven Chidwick is or Jason Good?
Yeah.
It set itself up to where there was none of that entertainment value because you couldn't actually argue about anything. You'd be like, well, maybe you should have raised, 2 instead of 2.2. It was just all like really little things that you guys would mostly agree on naturally, and that's what's difficult about poker.
Those guys don't make mistakes.
Right.
Well, who are we to say that they're, fucking up in huge moments, huge spot? I mean, you'll see punts from time to time, but I agree. It's much tougher in poker. I would love to see, by the way, the Doug Polk, Matt Berkey show.
It would be terrible.
That would die.
I think it would be terrible.
But you can't do it every day. I mean, I think that's like a twice a week sort of thing. Let the topics build up, and then you guys tackle them. That way, it's not overdone.
The problem is that or the problem that I saw when it was presented is that I don't think that there's an authentic product that is good. Like, I think the most authentic product, if you were to put the two of us in a room and give us debate topics or whatever, and then just quietly turn a camera on for the viewers to see, would be a lot of like him calling me an idiot. And you know what I mean? It's just like a lot of like middle school-esque tactics when it comes to debate. And sure, that might be entertaining to the audience, but like I would just never want to do that.
I think that's where a producer or multiple producers come in. Like, you avoid being so polarizing and insulting.
But then I think it becomes inauthentic.
Not necessarily.
You fucking
I
asshole.
think it can still be authentic because you're just going to disagree on so many things. And what I think would be really remarkable is when you two do agree on a topic. Then it's very clear and plain as day. Well, if these two agree, then it must be right.
Yeah,
I think he'd be tamer with like the insults when he's staring you right in the face.
What are you talking about? Did you see the Bally stream where he literally got into a 10-minute argument with me about what qualifies someone being your site's coach and called me an idiot a dozen times in that 10-minute rant?
But like, what about when you guys were on in the Poker Go studio?
You mean when I didn't speak for 6.5 hours?
Yeah, he didn't have anything to say.
I did notice
That shit was so funny to
was
watch.
on the felt.
The what?
Salt for Why was on the felt. That's
Yeah, we managed to sneak that one in there. That was
slid
kind
right
of
in a
nice.
little Easter egg.
Yeah.
You got to really be looking
So
for
great.
it.
Oh man, I like you. I think that the space. Like, I still don't think this fills the need. I think it's just like kind of a band-aid as far as like what's available to me as a viewer. Like, I would watch way more events if they were more of a spectacle.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's something that like we've talked a lot about with this pod. It's like, man, I just feel like we're a gun for hire where we can go do like a pregame show. Like we did it for the Bahamas at PCA. Yeah. And it's not about criticizing people's play or anything like that. Like there's tourney recaps throughout, but it's also just what's going on at the stop. You know, like there's a certain buzz in the air. We end up getting a satellite winner who literally free rolled his way into the 25K and min cash for 40,000, which was equivalent to like 1.5 times his annual salary.
Right.
Shout out to Frosty Nugs.
Yeah,
Frosty
shout out to
Nugs.
Frosty Nugs. But it's like that's an insane story that just like either doesn't get told or ends up getting like a little blurb on Poker News that otherwise gets like 20,000 views now.
We had a lot of people come on too, like Moneymaker. We had Sarah with us most of the time. It was fun.
That's what
That was
I
good.
think GG will do. We're privy to a little bit of their plans with the World Series of Poker and even a little bit at World Series of Poker circuit stop that we did in LA, that they're trying to transform that.
Yeah.
So they deliver all of these kinds of stories and interviews, and they make every tournament that you're watching feel like an event versus just strictly 6 guys or girls playing elite poker at a final table.
Yeah.
The thing that makes poker very difficult, and I'm really curious to see how this evolves and what GG will do, what others will do, what Poker Go will continue to do. How do you actually make poker a spectator sport? It's not.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
you can watch. I mean, the Hustler cash game live streams, right? They're going 8 hours on YouTube. Who in God's name is watching 8 hours straight through to see how it starts and how it finishes?
Only diehards.
Only
Man,
diehards.
people did
the
at
World
the
Series
start.
of Poker main event final table takes 3 freaking days to complete.
Yeah.
And every day is going to be 6 to 12 hours long.
Right.
Any given day. It's extremely difficult.
A lot
You
of
have
people
to
watch
love poker.
Hustler.
You have to,
You
have
have to
an
drink.
understanding.
You have to drink.
But that's almost more reason or more opportunity, I should say, for so many of these other tentacles to form, because that happens a lot in sports too. You know, there are a lot of people who just won't watch 162 baseball games.
Sure.
Yeah,
that
tune
are
in for the playoffs.
that are 3 hours long, but they get a daily recap, and it's very easy to stay. Like, I don't watch basketball at all. I've never watched basketball, but through every single era, I could name you pretty easily the top 25 stars in the game, and I'm not paying very close attention to get. It means that like I'm being forced to consume that somehow because I just don't care enough to seek it out. But it's clearly coming across my desk anyway. So it's like if you're in the poker space in some sort of capacity, we seem to be incentivized to have those tentacles that like force that type of stuff down your throat. Like knowing who's winning the circuit events, knowing what the results were of last night's Hustler stream, what the annual results are, basically like keeping up with the storylines.
How do you make people care?
You don't. You just show.
Well, they
it to
just
them.
care about poker,
Mm-hmm.
right?
They.
I think
The
you're
300
right.
people watching right now, like to some degree it's what we do, but we gloss over a lot of stuff. We're not going to get into the minutia.
Yeah.
We're not going to give you a recap of Hustler 5 days a week because why would we? We're not incentivized to. We don't give a shit.
You're starting to see, I think, a little bit of a shift in how media covers events. I mean, poker.org does a lot of differing things that
Yeah.
we've seen over the years. Influencers. What's the girl's name? There's Abby. She just got ridiculed for some video, which I didn't even watch the video. I have no idea what that was.
Oh boy, we had a whole show on it.
I was going to ask about that. And did you get blocked by Haley after?
No, funny enough, she DM'd me afterwards.
Best friends.
She DM'd me afterwards because like I knew I wasn't going to get blocked. Like I knew I didn't have a hard take on it. And she DM'd me afterwards saying like, it was fair or whatever. But her first line was LOL at my previous messages, which were like a year ago when she blocked me. I think the last message she had sent before blocking me was, you don't want to fuck with me.
I think where I'm going with that is you're getting a lot of younger personalities that are very engaged and want to be a part of creating content within the space.
Yeah.
That was not a thing, but there's an opportunity there now. Our biggest stars in poker, outside of the, let's call them, the influencers, the vloggers, the Rampages of the world, the Wolfgangs, Daniel, Phil, Dwan, I mean, they're not getting any younger.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is going to be an appetite and a need to create at least storylines about who the next rising stars are in the space. I mean, what happens in 20 years from now when some of these guys have to come up and pull up and play in a wheelchair? They're not exactly entertaining to watch anymore.
Right.
Those personalities lack.
I find that this space is it's built so backward, and obviously it's a byproduct of the game just organically existing and having its own financial motives outside of like any big business, right? Like the NFL isn't the NFL if it's not a big business opportunity, right? The NFL would just be fucking college sports, or actually that's not even fair because that's a big business opportunity too. Right. It would just be like, some pickup adult league that you see happening in your local town. The reason it's the NFL though is because somebody recognized like, okay, if I take control over all of this and I oversee all of the marketing, all of the narration, the storylines, I'm able to dictate like the TV deals, the broadcasting, all this other stuff. What I ultimately get is 32 teams of 53 guys who are all my personal characters.
Yeah.
In a plot that and that's why people like joke about it being scripted and everything else. It's like, it's not. Obviously, the games themselves are just being played out and there's variance there and whatever happens. But there is a certain script taking place with the narratives that form, right? And with the characters that are promoted.
It just sort of happens every year where like someone has a breakout year, or someone gets hurt, or someone like steps up and wins something. Like the media makes people care. Yeah.
So it's a top-down approach, right? It's not like the formulation of the NFL was like game, players, league. From the league, then it was kind of the opposite. It was like, how are we going to make money first and foremost? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so we're going to create this league with these players, but we need to be able to make money. Okay, we need to get butts in seats. We need to sell jerseys. We need to do all these things. And poker obviously has its problems with that. It's never going to sell tickets. You're not going to buy an Ivy jersey. That's pretty unlikely.
That'd be kind of cool, though. Imagine. Like for very specific people,
there would be some Ivy jerseys out there.
Yeah, okay, but like he's not going to do 10 million in sales.
There used to be like poker jerseys, right? Like from Ultimate Bet,
playing cards too. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is that because the game has its own financial incentives and we're all playing on our own dime, and we can't really be bothered to care about this stuff. So there is no like real central house like taking control.
In most other industries, pros get paid. Here we're paying.
Yeah, but
that wasn't the case pre Black Friday when Full Tilt and PokerStars were at their biggest in their these commercials that really created
what a banger commercial from
Ivy. You remember the Full Tilt commercial? These guys walking down sort of the black hallway. They were superstars. I mean, Negreanu with PokerStars, same sort of thing. Gus Hansen was one of the most talked about players and sought after players.
And that's a perfect example of like what an overseeing body can accomplish, right? Because it was clear, like, again, poker was just the vehicle. There was a much different motive to driving eyeballs and collecting dollars, basically. And what I'm saying in a very roundabout way is that you're right. There's a ton of young talent out there that ranges from professional players all the way to just like interesting influencers or creative types. Yeah, whatever the case may be. But they're all independent right now. So nothing can really rise. Like Brad did his thing and was like a unicorn of sorts.
Brad, Andrew, like they found a way to make it work.
Brad and Andrew aren't comparable. I mean, they are in the sense of like they're the biggest names to vlogging, but Brad is 7 times bigger than Andrew. I mean, his platform's like monstrous, and like Masato's bigger than both of them. You know what I mean? So it's like when we say Brad and Andrew, we put them together because of like the way that they pioneered the space, not because they are on equal footing when it comes to the vlogger space. And that was a choice. Like Andrew very clearly didn't care to go that route.
It does feel like vlogs kind of like died. Like they had their run.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
I don't think so because of the point that Berkey brought up. If you look at Masato's vlog, the whole emphasis on it is telling a story.
Right.
And that's to your point. It's not just like this specific hand or that specific tournament. It's like the entire storyline. And I think to your point, Burke, that's why shows like Hard Knocks, Quarterback, Receiver on Netflix do so well, because it's like you're watching a movie. There are games involved. And so you're telling 100 variations of some story throughout the course of the year. Like Landon was discussing, there's so many options for you to go. It's tougher with poker, but if you brought in a whole HBO Sports production crew, I bet they could make something happen and start.
Or even just a distribution platform, because right now, like to your point, right now that's happening at a micro level, right? I can go see Masato's story. I can go see Abby's story. I can go see all these individuals, but I can't watch them collectively. And so now what ends up happening is the audience fragments. Because you can't possibly be...
Everyone has their own people.
Yeah, you can't possibly dip your toes in all the waters. And so we miss the like bigger collective story of like what this is doing for poker in general. And also, we're missing out on a lot of fucking cheap labor that would just move the needle tremendously when it's all said and done. Like, imagine, pokervlog.com comes into the space and says like, okay, you're all working for us now. Like, or you don't have to, but here's the opportunity that we're going to present to you. You can vlog through us. You can still put out all of your individual content, but from that, we're going to release daily or weekly pieces that meld everything together. Yeah. And then from that,
part of the umbrella,
right? And then from that, we're going to disperse you guys all into specific arenas in the space,
like circuits or high rollers.
Exactly. We're going to send this little collective to the high roller scene. We're going to send this collective to the Midwest circuit. We're going to send this collective to play cash games in Texas. And we're going to get all those stories under one umbrella.
This is kind of what Poker Org is doing on a lesser base. Like just sending content creators to stops and stuff.
Yeah.
But the event is like the focus, I think, in their content.
Right.
Yeah, and then you could build it around the players, the characters.
The story more like. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you look like it, vlogs with stories are crushing. If you look at Frankie C's vlogs, they are getting absurd numbers. They're not Masato, but it's pretty good.
Right. Really and like what Brent said, what Jeff was saying is the reason why that's important to get like the two sides, both the event and the player, is what WPT and WSOP were able to do during the boom. You didn't care necessarily where that WPT was hosted. Right. That was a byproduct. You learned that it was at Foxwoods, and then Foxwoods gained some prestige from that, right? But what you cared about was there was a WPT somewhere, and it was going to have Daniel Negreanu there. It was going to have Eric Lindgren there. It was going to have Ferguson and all these other faces that you're certain to see at the TV final table. And all of that was just packaged very nicely for you to consume. So you got like this three-prong approach where it was like venue, event, players, and you're getting all of this distributed in one nice little neat package. We just don't have that now, right? Like the closest thing we have, I think, is like the Poker Go High Roller Series and Triton.
Yeah, probably. And you hear tidbits from players during the episodes, but it's nothing like what you're discussing. Like imagine if you're talking about kind of like an F1 Drive to Survive, where the venues are propped up, like, oh, cool, they're going to Monaco this week, but you see Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen walking in every time. There are things you can do. It's just
you think that's the kind of way is like you follow somebody that like plays all the high roller stuff and just like follow them for a year? And
this is director of programming for Poker Go right here.
You had a show. Do you remember the show Insiders?
Is that the one that was a Dead Money ripoff?
Wow. Talking about Dead Money ripoffs.
Came out before Dead Money.
There was after we put out Dead Money, the following Super High Roller Bowl followed Brandon Adams, Negreanu.
That is it.
I remember. It was after.
I'm sorry,
it wasn't anything like it, was it?
That was exactly the same.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but Dead Money has been stolen again.
It's just the title.
Oh my God!
Do you know anything about that movie?
No, I texted you that though.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. How'd that poster behind you do? Like when it comes to viewership and stuff?
To be determined?
Other one.
Dead Money?
Yeah.
You'd have to ask them. We never put it out for free, so I don't know.
What, Dead Money?
Yeah.
It's on Pluto, isn't it? I think we put it on Pluto too.
Huh?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
People like it.
to be determined. We put on YouTube. It's got like 250,000 views.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself.
But like, I guess is that like GG's approach? Is GG is trying to come in and like do all of these things?
Well, I don't know, but where I was going with all of that, like vlogger talk and everything else, was I wanted to really focus on like you have a chance at some like really cheap talent, because once you graduate outside of the vlog, what you get is a lot of short form content. So if you're able to bring in a template of sort, you can rotate through a lot of the talent very easily. And why that's important that you get them very cheaply is because what they're able to do is get access to players that you really need to hone in on. So like the major guy, like, you know, we talk about it all the time, like the high rollers, they're basically ghosts, right? You never hear from them.
Yeah.
However, they're actually really accessible. Like they're all really fine with doing a 5 to 30 minute sit down if presented. I would say the opportunity, because there's nothing in it for them. But when asked, like I see it like with this new podcast that Jonathan Jaffe launched, GTO Lab. He gets some of the best and brightest in the world that you would never think. Like Ike's not doing podcasts, but he's happy to sit down for an hour and a half with Jonathan, you know, and it was very insightful. And that's not really what I'm speaking to. Like, I don't think we need more of that necessarily, but more,
that kind of fills the role.
More the inside NBA type of stuff where it's like, rather than critiquing play, why don't we just have Chidwick on for 10 minutes and talk about a hand? You know what I mean? Like, that seems pretty fascinating and going to get me tuned in. Like, how do we get Phil Galfond to be an analyst?
Why don't you guys do that for this show? Why don't you try and get Chidwick's local? He lives in Vegas.
I had no idea he was local.
Yeah, he lives here.
I thought he lived in England.
He's very intimidating.
He's
I played with him once.
I don't know.
like Jason Kuhn would be so good on here.
Oh,
Shoot
yeah,
the shit with him a lot. He's like the all-American hero from the high rollers.
My
Save us.
My impression of all of them, and like Jason, I know much better than Chidwick. I really don't know Steven at all. But my impression, and you know, sort of putting myself in their shoes, but obviously I'm very different because I'm not playing tournaments. I'm playing cash, and I willingly am constantly in the media side. I feel like you can ask them once. Like, I feel like you can task them with coming once. But if they wanted to be a mainstay in media, they would have.
Yeah, that's
you know,
That
they
is
don't lack that
interesting to me,
opportunity.
by the way.
Fair.
And that is the one thing that, and I love the PGT regulars, players, and whatnot, but none of them, with the exception of Daniel Negreanu, put out any sort of consistent content. Go out of their way to create.
Yeah.
Not one. They don't.
Daniel's
put
just
themselves out
WSOP
there at all.
vlogs.
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them. They've got all the money.
Right.
They don't care. They don't need to give away any of their trade secrets, so to speak, or talk about these.
I guess that's kind of the thing, right? Is like most people that have like made it in this point in poker, like very successful, are like busy focusing on like getting better, slash like winning, let alone being like somebody that's in poker media.
I actually don't even think that's true. I think the vast majority of them are looking for lateral and vertical moves in and outside of this space.
What do you mean?
I think they're all very good at poker and spend not nearly as much time grinding it as you think. I think they spend a lot of their time either building a family or trying to build a secondary business. And like,
Yeah, they're not playing like grinding as much. Like
no, I don't even think they're
circuit.
studying.
That's
I
just
think,
like your opinion, man.
okay. I mean, I'm sure they study. I'm just saying, I would imagine that a lot of it is like, you know, buddying up with people who are in the VC space. A lot of like what Hellmuth does. That's how you make generational
Great
wealth.
example, by the way, Hellmuth. Let's talk about him for a minute, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
Have you noticed he's got a podcast?
He does. I saw.
Just
I did not
started the
notice
We
that.
Win Sports podcast. You ready for this?
Oh, this is the one with Mattisau.
Hellmuth, Mattisau, Cantu, and David Woodley.
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes out.
They're the poker besties.
Once
I
a
have to
week.
tell you.
So maybe now Hellmuth is starting to follow Negreanu's lead to create more content on a YouTube channel.
Could get some sharp plays from him.
I got to tell you, and I don't know why this is. So this is literally just an observation and opinion I'm making, but both with Daniel's podcast and what you just described as being Hellmuth's, I think that for them to put any time and energy into something like that, it should be massive. They should both be able to immediately have the biggest podcast in our space, and it should rival podcasts in other space. Like, you know, I see Liv Brie started a kind of an adjacent podcast, not really poker, but it's like poker adjacent. And she's doing really well. Some of her videos have like 500,000 views on it. Like the Simon Sinek one I know is one of her most popular one, has 6-figure views, whatever. That same expectation to me seems like it could be met by a guy like D-Negs and Hellmuth. And my anticipation is that neither of those podcasts, I mean, I know the DAT podcast doesn't like pull a ton of views, and I just don't think this betting one, they're not sharp. Like those 4 guys are not sharp.
Are you kidding me? Have you not seen Hellmuth's picks for the last 4 or 5 years?
Buddy,
His
I don't give a fuck if he's
overs?
winning 90%. Like, he's just not a sharp. You know what I mean? Like, to start a gambling podcast, you have to have a sharp. Somebody who's known as a sharp.
Especially because there are so many podcasts now that are taking you through the NFL games of the week and what their thoughts are from a betting perspective. So you really have to stand out.
And we have Weekend Warriors, but we have
you guys have it covered.
Conrad.
Yeah.
So
Weekend Warriors is back this Friday.
I was just about to say,
The ultimate
nobody
sharp.
like nobody appears more square than Mattisau and Hellmuth, except for maybe Conrad.
That's why we let him lead that segment.
Square.
What do you mean? There's
Hasn't
beauty in
Mattisau
this.
I
You
would
know?
only bet
show
underdog.
for a while. The Mouth podcast.
Yeah, his last
The mouthpiece.
I mean, his last
Mouthpiece.
handful got like 900 views. You know, like this is what I don't understand. Maybe I just don't understand the podcasting world all that well, which is terrible because what
Kinda in it.
600 episodes in.
because here we are.
But
Here we are podcasting.
when you look at every other space, the biggest podcast in said space will do 6 or 7 figures in views per ep, especially when it's produced and once a week. You know, I can't think of any off the top of my head where the biggest industry leader isn't doing 100K views per, except for ours.
We're also such a smaller market than almost anybody else, right? I sort of feel, at least that's what it feels like. I
It's
mean,
tiny, and you're
right.
geo-trapped. It's
Yeah.
not
We're
like
not gonna
everyone
do like
Chess
Lex
is small.
Bellman or
Chess is small.
yeah.
I think if Magnus launched a pod, it wouldn't do 100,000 views instantly.
he makes a
Of course it would.
I think maybe
It wouldn't.
Maybe.
This is for sure not debatable. I don't think. I don't want to
Anything
sound
is
so.
Does he not
debatable.
have a
Sure.
podcast?
Anything's
Maybe we can look
debatable.
this up. Does Magnus
maybe.
Carlson have a podcast?
I don't think so.
Let's take
I don't want to be so assertive, but I'm just like pretty fucking confident that like if
He has a
Magnus,
YouTube actually and made some poker hands on there.
yeah, his YouTube's massive,
Yeah.
and Daniel's YouTube is massive too.
Yeah.
But
Daniel's
for some
is
reason,
really big. Actually, in one show too, because I know they've talked about this, so we're not spoiling it, and we don't even know when it's being released. But allegedly, Daniel and Hellmuth actually do have their own podcast and show that is supposed to be starting soon. I think that combination, especially if they have the right vessel behind it from production and whatnot,
I mean, GG, right?
that could be pretty big.
yeah,
But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what the quality of the content looks like, if they actually talk about poker, or is it going to
Right.
be them talking about hockey bets? I don't know.
it's so funny because yeah, he is.
It looks like a lot of the content is actually him just playing. It's not really like a podcast
No,
format.
it's not a podcast. But
right.
but
He used to have a bunch of
really
poker
good-
his
content.
poker
Really
view,
good
I think his
numbers,
poker videos were like bangers actually. If you
Oh, that's just on the live side. If you go to the video side, I think he has
Not
poker stuff.
taking
now.
shots, but 1.3 million subscribers is fewer than I think Brett Owen has in poker, right?
Fewer than Wolfgang. now.
No,
And fewer than Wolfgang.
Wolfgang is like a shorts master.
it's not. It's not fewer than Owen. Owen has like 700.
Yeah, I think Owen's less than a
Oh,
million.
then Wolfgang doesn't
Wolfgang
Wolfgang have
has-
more than
Wolfgang has a
Wolfgang
ton.
He was the
But-
first one
might
to
be the
have.
biggest.
But Wolfgang's is kind of a hack because it's all based off of short traffic.
Okay.
And shorts,
Shorts God.
yeah, shorts
Yeah,
are
they
just
seem
like
to have mastered that.
he's
realm.
crushed it.
He's
Just
got
absolutely crushed it.
1.5
Wolfgang.
million. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like Brad's 700 through traditional vlogging is way more impressive, and the audience is way more. Like if you were interested in marketing between the two of them, you would buy Brad. Because the audience is much more loyal. They're staying along.
Like Brad
longer
just posted
retention.
a vlog a day ago that has 250K views.
Yeah.
You know, like it's hard to beat that in
Right.
poker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad.
So
And he
the,
is-
the
yeah.
views are there, but they're more moving towards like vlogs and not podcasts, right?
Well,
So
I
it's
think
just
this all goes back to the original discussion. Like we have no real. It's very ironic because we don't have very much when it comes to the way of talk shows in this space.
Mhm.
But I was also just about to say, as you talked about the Negreanu Hellmuth one, like how many more talk shows can we have between two figures in the space? It's like we really don't have enough, But also, if we're going to have a bunch, they can't just all be D-Negs in someone or Hellmuth in someone, or, you know what I mean? It seems like we keep pulling from the same pie.
I mean, other than this show, there isn't any other talk show. There isn't one.
Yeah.
I remember we filmed pilots. I think.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, we filmed pilots years ago in the studio, and none of them ever saw the light of day. It got pulled out. We didn't follow through with it. But it was Daniel and Amanda, and it was going to be based off the beats of the morning show. And then I was like the weird guy with the typewriter in the corner, the stat guy. There was that show. There was Joey Ingram and Ali Najad. They were paired together. And then we had another one. I think it was Kelly Minkin and Maria. We're going to have, we did all sorts of pairings, and we did pilots, and we tested people. We talked to people. And we actually brought in a big time producer to be a part of this and to lead it. But the whole thing kind of fizzled away. So that appetite or that gap that you filled the void in with this show, spotted a while back, but it just never came to fruition.
Yeah. Well, you guys knew ahead of time what we're learning 500 some episodes in.
Yeah, I don't know if we didn't really learn anything. We saw, okay, cool, we should do this. One, there's going to be a big budget involved. When you're talking about big time talent,
yeah.
Okay, what's the ROI there?
Right. Right.
Also, those shows were going to be created for our subscribers, right? Like, give that more value to subscribers. You want to be a part of this talk show, you got to subscribe and watch these guys.
Why did they not move forward? Was it like so when you tested it, were you seeing that people were not interested in that format, or was it the personalities,
it was
or what?
Combination of factors that happened? I mean, I think largely in part, this is going to be a big budget operation. Is this really something we want to focus on and try out for a year? Maybe. And the plug basically just got pulled. And let's just focus on poker shows. People are here because of poker. They want to watch.
They
poker.
want to actually see the hands. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm really curious to see with GG becoming such a large presence, with WPT Global becoming such a large presence, with Poker Stars seemingly coming back into the fold. What are they going to do? Are they going to try and create content that isn't just watching?
I mean, they're going to want to have to grow the game as much as they can. So I think getting as much content out as you can to like the masses, and not just this little bubble of poker players that we have. Once you break through that, that's when the game actually grows.
Did shows like this ever do well in poker?
They never existed.
Never existed. There's never been one.
They were always like inserts into a live
Is this
game.
Proof that they shouldn't exist?
No, I think the opposite. I think that there's like 5 or 6 channels that have a massive opportunity to become the 24/7 poker network. Should they choose to do so, and I don't know that any of them are gonna attempt to capture it. But if you just follow the template that ESPN has been following for 3 decades,
right,
all you need to be is a distribution of games.
That's true.
Right? So Hustler, and I'm just specifically talking about YouTube, but Hustler, PokerGo, GG, Stars, WPT Global. Not Triton.
No.
Maybe Triton, but I think they're too young. And WPT Global. Oh, I guess WSOP, but that's just GG now. So like those 5 channels, they have enough live content, and it varies, right? Like Hustler has a bigger edge than everybody else because they're running 5 days a week. However much GG plans on putting out live and produced content, same thing with PokerGo, et cetera, that's kind of up to them. But if you can guarantee 5 hours of a live game that nobody has seen before, basically daily or 5 days a week or something like that, and you can now fill 3 hours prior to that game, 3 hours after that game with
yapping,
news and notes of the community, pre-game show, predictions, bringing players in who will talk about the pregame and everything else, and then the postgame wrap up, recap of what's happened in today in poker, all this other stuff. And now you have a noon to midnight channel that's all live, and the central spot for anybody who has any interest in poker to tune in, tune out.
Question: did Hustler do this for $1 million game or something along these lines?
Not well.
But under this guide,
I'm not throwing shade.
I know.
I just
sound like
they just like had 2 guys sitting at like a poker table with a microphone in them. It's just like not well done. But the idea.
But like that's the premise, is to do that Because like it's not about.
I think. I don't even think you need to be on site. You can fucking throw it to a studio. It doesn't matter, right?
Oh, yeah,
People
for
just.
That's what we did with GG and WSOP Europe 2021.
Yeah.
They rented out a whole studio and had like Brent and a group of people at a break desk of sorts. It was like a more of an inside the NBA setup, to your point. And
I think you're going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking more on GG too, they seem to me to be the ones that are going to lead the charge. Game of Gold is a great example of spending a fortune on a massive production with a lengthy narrative, putting out content not for free, right? I mean, is for free. Sorry, on their YouTube channel.
The Game of Gold's sick.
If you have the budget you're willing to spend in order to continue to expand and grow the industry and build up these characters, they're going to be the ones that lead the charge.
Yeah, that's the big thing is everybody that I name needs to be able to find a return, right?
Yeah.
And so for like, it's even though I said Hustler has like the easiest path, it's the most challenging for them because the only way that they really earn any money is through sponsorship or like I guess advertising or money that they accrue through their YouTube page. And running extra hours a day doesn't really add much bottom line to that. But if you're GG, you don't care about any of those things because the way that you're earning money is more people playing on your site, more people showing up to your tours, and things of that nature. So it's like they might actually have the biggest upper hand when it comes to this stuff. And I know that they're very content focused.
So you don't think like content is the issue? It's just about like how you use it and package it.
I mean, look, like we're in the caveman era of fucking poker content. Like nobody's doing a good job.
Well, I just mean like Stars has like the big game, and then like GG is doing like the Game of Gold stuff. But
that
like,
stuff helps a lot.
And then like Poker Go has like their tour, and then Triton has their tour.
Yeah.
It's just about like kind of bringing it together under one roof.
I think
someone
so.
goes to like call it pokercontent.com and they can just like find a bunch of stuff and everyone's kind of under the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, because from there, it's just a trickle down from top to bottom of like how all of that content's being repurposed over and over again, right?
Yeah,
so
and
like
then there's,
even
like, the
if
short form content section of like Instagram creators,
like even if this publishing house that you're speaking of existed, right, and PokerGo didn't agree to be a part of it, but they allowed like free use of clips and shit like that. That's enough, right? And then from there, like shorts will be created and, vlogs will be created. And there's all these other tentacles.
You'll have people like analyzing hands or whatever, and then like doing other things.
One story will be redistributed a dozen times underneath an entire production house if you have somebody overseeing the entire process, right? Because they'll create a template for everything. They'll be like, okay, when we get a story, this is the way that it's disseminated to the audience, right? There's the print that goes out to social. There's the actual footage that we attain. There's the clips that we attain from that. And then from there, we get shorts. And then from there, we distribute it to our vlogging team who creates more content out of it.
That would be pretty sick. Like if Wizard had like a subset, because like they work with WSOP and like GG and stuff, where they had like a database of just events that have been played, like WSOP stuff. You like go to that section of Wizard, and then like you can like pull up, I guess, solves with it on the side if you wanted to look at that.
That's what Octopi has. Don't mean to brag.
Yeah, that's what their the vault is.
On the advisory board.
Right, yeah. It's specific to PokerGo stuff, right?
For now, but expanding, I believe. I'm not going to speak for.
Right, yeah,
expanding into other tours where you can take all of that information, extrapolate it, watch the hand replayer live, like the clip of the hand, and then you can take the data and do what you want with it. It can be player specific, it can be position specific, it can be stack size specific, and then you see what's right, what's wrong, what could we have done differently, and you can
very
work on
different
lines.
Audience.
It's for the absolute hardcore of hardcore.
For sure.
Yeah. Not exactly entertaining if you're trying to be a casual fan and enjoy shows. But GG, again, not to continue to touch on them, but it seems to me, too, with the latest acquisition with World Series of Poker, I mean, they're taking the number one brand, WSOP, acquiring it, and I think they're going to start there with that brand alongside GG and then work their way down with content.
Yeah,
you're going to continue to see things like the Game of Gold. They also own Poker After Dark now. They're going to focus on that number one brand in the industry, which is the World Series of Poker that almost anyone and everyone has ever heard of.
Yeah.
You talk to some local down at the bar,
it's World
and you
Series.
ask them about poker.
Yeah.
The only thing they will be familiar with is the World Series of Poker. It's
Right.
probably they might just think it's one event, the main event.
Right.
Think
A lot
they
of people
buy it.
do.
They don't
Right,
know it's
for
90
sure.
events.
Yeah.
Right. So they realize that.
It
So,
probably doesn't even like dilute the brand in a sense, you know. Like just the more WSOP stuff, the more like people hear about WSOP and attach poker to that.
Yeah,
How bad can it be?
I think largely GG just tries to keep it separate. Like WSOP is their live. WSOP to GG is what EPT is to Stars.
maybe. I'm curious to see what they do. I really don't know.
I guess my point is that they're not going to change the name of the online skin to WSOP poker,
Right.
and they're not going to change the live.
Right.
like it's not going to be like GG Nevada. It's going to stay WSOP Nevada.
Yeah. I mean,
You said it right,
I have
though.
high hopes. I don't know.
It's the caveman era that we're in right now, but we're starting to see the ideas starting to form in little pockets, and it's just a matter of who's going to gobble it all up.
It's just such a struggle from my vantage point because like I see that there's opportunity there, but acting on it just doesn't make a ton of sense ever, right? Somebody just has to take a big gamble that it's going to pay off,
Right.
and that they get the corner of the market. But like when I watch chess and the maturation that market's gone through in the last like 5 to 6 years, it's so frustrating to know that they're outpacing us by such a wide margin when it is a game that's maybe even more insulated than poker is.
I want to stop you there, though. Chess is a lot easier to do that from a production perspective. It's two
Right.
people with
Yeah.
a game board.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You're not looking at a studio where you've got lights and cameras on different people,
Right.
so much activity going on.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe even
very
outer tables,
isolated in one spot the entire time between two people.
That's
So
true.
I think when it comes to complications of production, chess, of course, that's a layup. It's in fact, I'd say it's about time. How did it take them that long to take such a simple setting?
Well, I guess my
turn it
point
into a
wasn't
bigger-
the live streams themselves. It was more so the way that the entire space has just massively grown. Like their influencers are much bigger than our influencers.
Yeah.
And that seems crazy.
Do we
to
know
me.
how big the chess audience is compared to like poker? Like how many people actually play chess regularly compared to how many people play poker regularly? What's bigger?
I would say chess is bigger.
That's
chess
is
what
bigger, man.
I would
Like,
think it would be
Poker has
bigger
a lot
too.
of recreational.
But you're
Free
playing
play.
chess as a kid. You know, you
Right.
can start to play against your mom
It just
and dad or whatever.
It just
brothers.
depends on
Yeah.
how you qualify poker players,
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of guys that just play with their boys and they're like 12.
I'm not thinking about
13,
that.
14.
Chess has also never been looked at culturally in various countries as a game of harm. Like we can't. In certain
It's
countries,
an
if you gamble
intellectual
or play
game,
poker,
right?
you-
Like, yeah, like
go
if
to
you play
prison.
chess, you're like, you're
Intellectual,
very,
like,
yeah,
you're
right,
smart.
but
and
that's
you're,
the
right.
problem is that it's intellectual, so it has a high barrier of entry.
it has a high barrier of entry, but it also has a prestige that poker doesn't have.
Agreed.
Like the
Um,
average chess player is like not a great chess player, but they still play just for
Right.
like, fun. You don't need
I
to be
I
like
get that. I'm just
smart.
saying, like, I think when you guys are thinking of poker players, you're thinking of people like us. When in reality, there's like hundreds of millions of people playing on Zynga.
Yeah, for sure.
Which
Actually,
is-
it's
Yeah,
really,
I think-
it's really close, guys.
I think it's
Yeah.
close.
There you go. So you have.
In the U.S., 60.
That's just the U.S.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe poker.
Is chess? Does chess have any kind of TV distribution deal?
I've never seen
Anybody
it.
know?
I don't think so.
Chess televised event.
Mm-mm.
Maybe
Maybe like the World Championships or something,
It's
or
on
wherever
Twitch
they do.
and it's on
Yeah.
YouTube,
Right.
primarily. But
In those, do you know if they, like kind of like we do for the main, we go around other tables, do they jump around or do they have one featured match for budget purposes?
gotta tell you, man, I've never.
I don't know why I'm looking at you when I'm asking this.
I think
Yeah.
chess is broadcast very similarly to like Go, and maybe tennis is another good example where
Okay.
they have like a center stage, and what ends up happening. We talked about this a bit in the past, and I think it's something that is what makes the content creators in that space so much more powerful than our space. Is effectively, I'm not positive that they actually have a central distribution channel either. Maybe chess.com does a lot, but I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
sure. But I believe if it's anything like Go, what ends up happening is a lot of sharps in the arena run live streams with analytics. So they basically have like the board up with the footage of the match to the side, and then they're on screen kind of like, predicting next moves. They're basically serving as commentators, right? But it's largely just a watch party.
Okay. Okay.
Which we don't have any of that, right? Like
Yeah.
you either tune into the actual show itself or you don't. So our distribution is very siloed, which should be a good thing for driving numbers up, but I think it ends up being a bad thing because you get less of the community involved. So I guess maybe I'm wrong about the actual commentary aspect.
Also, just watching these small clips, it's like it's such a faster paced game, right?
That's true.
Than poker,
Well, it
right?
can
Yeah,
be.
every move can be much quicker.
There are different
Yeah.
variants too. There's
like
speed chess.
classical
There's
chess.
chess.
Yeah.
I mean, they all do like well numbers wise, but
Mhm.
like it's pretty cool to see the best in the world play very fast and like look at it after the fact. You know, like most people that are watching aren't going to be like aware of what the best move is, but then they go through it after with the engine.
Right.
It's in real time, like what the right move should have been, or
I think
all that
another
stuff.
really cool thing is like what their version of pickup games look like. Like when Nemo or Botez goes to Central Park in New York and just lines up 8 games.
Yeah.
And just films them like running from game board to game board and like or you know they hear some like 13-year-old talking shit and they just like shake hands and take a match on. Like that's fun. Our closest version of that, I guess, is vlogging. And vlogging actually does do really well in this space.
Yeah, it does.
right, like I'm going to X place to play poker with X people, and like here are the hands from that,
Yeah.
and then Brad just crushes it with that.
Right. Right.
Copy paste, like go to Ameristar, go to wherever, and
But even
Get
still,
some drone
Brad's our
shots.
biggest
Get some-
influencer, right? Like, I think he still has lesser influence than the biggest chess influencers.
Yeah.
Unless I'm mistaken, but like we're hiring most of the chess influencers.
Yeah.
Last I checked,
he's
like
moved to poker now.
we're
Yeah.
literally trying to convert them all. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you have 7-figure followers. Like, please come on
Yeah.
over. We have an intellectual game for you.
You like to play poker, don't you?
All right, last thing I want to touch on before we get out of here. That's also a bit adjacent to the poker space. You boys running any fantasy leagues this year?
If we're gonna hear about Brent's fantasy football teams, I'm gonna leave now.
Are you?
I've
out?
heard enough.
Now hold on.
Have you
now,
not-
Hold on.
Okay, go
Jeff
ahead.
is the defending champion
That is true.
of the No Gamble, No Future Fantasy Football League.
Just you two
true.
in that
His
league?
team is the Little Giants.
Little Giants.
And
We're
I
one of the
have
worst
no idea how he
teams
won
ever.
it. One of the worst teams I've ever seen assembled last year. He
Thank
just
you.
won it. His average points in this massive PPR league.
Very low.
You
It really
average about
shows the-
100 points a game.
Yeah.
Very
The
low.
league average is about $1.25. He won the league averaging 100 points a game.
Really displays the
Great general
variance that
manager.
exists in
He was a
fantasy
great
football.
GM. He was a
Great GM.
yeah.
So yes, we are in a fantasy league. Brent's in about 100 of them.
I'm in
Right.
seven.
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 Seven's a lot.
Nothing excessive.
Seven's a
Nothing
lot.
I'm in 4. Brent and I actually made a pretty good trade in our dynasty league.
That's great.
Andy's dynasty
Please
league.
fill
that
us
is.
in.
Yeah.
What I get? I got Mostert
You
and
know, Rashad
I was
White,
kidding.
Mostert, I got Nico Collins, and I think we did like a second and a third round draft pick swap for next
right.
year.
Wow, you guys are just
Good
really
deal.
out there
We
working the
both
wires.
helped each
huh?
other out where we needed it.
The
Yeah.
GMs
Yeah.
in the streets.
Throw a
Now,
handshake deal.
I owed him a good trade.
He did. He
'Cause the
got me
year
pretty
prior,
good.
Here comes another
He got
one.
me really
I
good.
really got him. I forget what I
Yeah.
first
Clyde
round pick.
Edwards-Helaire, I think. Yeah.
I got your first round draft pick for Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Something like that.
Somebody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. And then he like literally fell right off.
Yeah, that
right
sounds
after
like
that.
a LaManna problem.
And
to
now
me.
he's out just on the wire. I can go get him right now if I
I
want
got
him.
lucky though. I did. It wasn't my fault.
Any big targets in the draft you went after this year?
Really, you have to let the
The
draft
music's
come
playing.
to
I think
you.
we have to,
go. I'm in some bigger leagues that I've never been in before.
The music's playing us something.
The leagues are very sharp,
Berkey
I
finally
guess
just.
you could say.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, the auction format, a lot of people just go nuts and overvalue, at least in my mind, some of the premier players.
Oh, that makes it
Especially
sound
the
like
running
you're the
backs.
fish, probably.
It's well, I mean, maybe.
Yeah,
I,
you know, I mean, I'm in a lot of really sharp leagues, and I got to tell you, they're making a lot of fucking mistakes.
you could tell that the strategy was, okay, I'm going to load up on either CMC, CD Lamb, Tyreek Hill. That might be the cutoff right there. And if you got those, or Brees Hall, you got those 4, you were spending whatever it took to get them, and then you just let your team sort of fill itself. The other strategy, which is what I did in one of my leagues, is just sit back, wait, watch all the people spend all their money on these top 4 players, and then you get great value for your team throughout the sort of the
Right,
middle
right.
round.
Exactly like that 25K fantasy draft you did at the World Series. That great value.
variants.
In,
Brian mentioned variants.
A lot of
earlier.
variants.
A lot of
Dylan-
variants.
A lot of variants.
Yeah, a lot of
involved.
variants. Dylan DeStefano played 2 events. I think you guys scooped.
That was not great.
I think you guys scooped Becker in that one. Last
Not
I
great.
checked, he had a negative.
I think
fumble.
you
Missing out on Jared
executed
Blesnick,
the,
who was on our board.
Berkey executed the zero RB, zero running back strategy pretty well in our
I would hope so.
our hometown league.
I followed a template online.
Yeah,
You
like-
really did. And you could just tell it was just like he's just
Fun.
reading off of a thing.
Yeah.
I know you guys will talk about this later in the week, but Steelers predictions. What's the record?
Pain.
Over 8.5.
Yeah. I would
You guys
prefer
bet it,
8
right?
wins.
It's
we
8
bet
right
on-
now.
Oh, and I got it 8.5.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Are you bringing back slot bet?
But minus 135 you got to lay. So
Oh,
I'm here for 8.
wait. You have to lay minus 135 to
if
get
you
8?
want 8.
Oh,
Over
I
8.
got laid 1.5 or
Yeah, 140,
1.4.
right?
Yeah, I got laid 140 on
I think you
8.5.
guys have
Okay,
a good bet.
that's
I think so,
about
too.
even.
Fair.
Yeah, that's
pretty
about
good.
right.
Conrad's in
Who
for
won
slot
last
The
year?
bet.
standard
Berkey won
is the
last year?
Berkey won
standard.
last year.
Okay.
The Steelers won every
The
game by like 2
Steelers are
points.
going to
last
win
year.
9 games this year, and
they
probably make the
probably will.
playoffs, or maybe not, and be out in the first
I'll
round.
tell you what, Jeff. They might win the first 9.
That'd
They
be
may not win
painful.
any games after that, but they might win
That'd
the
be
first 9.
painful.
You know, the only
Who's playing
concern I have
quarterback?
for the Steelers, I actually think they'll be decent. If Russell Wilson can be all right, I'm not a Fields guy. I don't think you're going to want him on the field.
I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree
I
with
don't
you.
think I don't think he's understanding at all what's happening in the passing game.
I
But
totally
anyway,
agree.
Jalen Warren is a bad injury. You need that hamstring to hold up.
He's fine. He's practicing. He's going to play.
You got yeah.
He's
those,
playing.
those hammies, man.
Yeah, I know.
You
Soft tissue injuries.
That's a concern. I like
Yeah.
the receivers. I think Pickens is going to feed.
How much
You
of
find
music,
him to
Jeff?
stay
How much of a
healthy.
concern would it be when Najee has gone over 1,000 his first 3 seasons? You know, we got a bolstered line.
He's not a receiving back. You need that
He
receiving.
is a receiving back.
No,
I mean,
I
they
thought
throw-
you needed a sharp on the show for analytics.
So he had, we looked at this the other day. He had about 90 receiving touches the years before Waddle. So not last year, before.
Who are you
Waddle.
talking about?
Jalen Warren.
Or Warren.
Not Warren. Not Waddle.
You gotta have that guy just
I'm
to
talking
give
about Najee.
Najee a little rest. If
No,
you want him.
I agree with you. I agree with you there. But you know, we got
We have Najee's number one hater in the
Who's
building.
behind Warren?
well, obviously
Darryl
Justin
Patterson.
Fields.
Oh,
Yeah,
Cordell
Patterson over is a sharp
Yeah, you
bet
have Cordell
supposedly this
Patterson
week.
Yeah.
behind Warren.
And Justin Fields.
He's
We
gonna
got
be the
those
running
Fields
back?
packages in there, buddy. Okay,
What
we're-
about the Bills?
We're on a wild.
What are they going to do?
Still, I like the Bills. I think people are sleeping
You
on them.
do? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I think that we're going to be all right.
I want to know how they dumped their entire fucking receiving core and we didn't get any of them.
Okay.
Wait, where's Gabe
could have
Davis?
I don't think you wanted.
He's not in
Diggs,
Buffalo.
Did you?
I would have taken Diggs.
Wait,
Really? You think? He would have lasted 2 games in that offense, run-heavy offense, where he's not getting the ball.
wait, where's
That would've
Gabe
gone
Davis
well
now?
for Diggs.
Gabe
Huh?
Davis went to Tennessee
No, he's in Houston. Diggs
or
is
Houston.
with
That's
the
right.
Texans.
That's right.
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, not Diggs.
Gabe Davis is with Jacksonville.
Oh.
So who plays receiver for you guys?
no,
We have
Can't call him.
they have the
we
same
have
problem
Ken
as us.
Coleman.
Oh yeah.
We have Keon
Except they have
Coleman,
Josh
we have
Allen.
Curtis Samuel, and we have the guy that I think is going to shine is Khalil Shakir, third year receiver. who's
I
gonna
took
be
him in my fantasy
good. I
team.
like Shakir.
That's
a lot.
great.
He was a late round pick.
And
Where's the music?
tight end Dalton Kincaid,
Oh, yeah,
second
he's-
year tight end.
Oh, Dalton.
an
I think he's going to be an absolute stud.
Who are the USC studs that are tearing up the league right now?
In college?
No.
Oh, in the pros?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's
Caleb.
Different game.
Caleb.
game.
Yeah,
What do
wait
you
for this
mean?
year.
They're the
Yeah.
number 1 draft
We'll
pick.
see.
That's right.
Yo, listen, I played with
We'll
them on
see.
Madden. They are going to be sick.
This-
The Bears
By the
might
way-
win the fucking
By the way, this
championship.
is how this guy comes up with his fucking predictions.
what do you want
I go,
from me?
I'm not sold on Caleb Williams. I mean, the Bears are the Bears.
He's like Madden, dude. He was
And he
sick.
goes, bro, he is sick on Madden. The Bears are going to be fucking nasty.
I do think the Bears are going to be very good.
Yeah,
I
his
think Caleb
movement.
is.
I'm
is-
under on the Bears,
incredible.
but I love Caleb.
Man,
What is it? 6.5?
No, it's like
thing
8.5.
Caleb is so
Ooh.
smart. His IQ is off the charts with football.
I will say that cerebral quarterbacks historically, like when they're definitely proven to be intelligent. I don't know Caleb Williams enough to state this, but cerebral quarterbacks in the past have massively outperformed their ability. And I'm talking the GOAT too, Brady.
Yeah, I
Count
thought you were
him.
talking Mahomes because he's very much one of those as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think
you've
Mahomes
heard
His
is,
ability, though, is
Mahomes
also-
is so
yeah.
athletic.
That's what
he's
Caleb is
both.
too. Caleb and
Yeah.
Mahomes, are
Mahomes
gonna
is
be very
both, and
similar.
that's why he's
Yeah.
But like top to
he is who
bottom,
he is.
top to bottom, when you go like Brady, Manning, Luck, all the way down to Fitzpatrick, like these guys massively out. Fitzpatrick never had the chance to be an NFL quarterback with the career length that he had. 15 years starter, backup, whatever,
Journeyman.
and he performed.
That motherfucker
Like, he
sucks.
fucking
And
performed.
they can read defenses when they're getting set up. They pick up on blitzes. They know where the the secondary is going to be lapsing. They can see the double team early.
Roethlisberger's a cerebral
Mahomes
quarterback.
will go down as the greatest. He's going to surpass Brady. I assume everyone agrees, right?
I mean, his numbers so far are dwarfing
Yeah.
Brady's.
Yeah, I think so
I mean,
too.
he'll be the greatest quarterback in the history of the
Yeah.
until we have another Mahomes type.
Maybe he'll go play baseball like Michael Jordan.
And that, you know how hard that is for me to say, wearing a Josh Allen jersey?
Yeah.
And knowing that Nick Wright might possibly hear me say this on this show live, that pains me, but I don't think it's even close.
Listen,
I think
your
Mahomes is
Josh
the
Allen
greatest
is our Ben Roethlisberger, right? Like, and
No,
Mahomes
that's
is
not true.
Is Brady.
That's sort of
Last
true.
I checked, Ben won a Super Bowl. or two.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Brian can't fucking take it.
Josh has a chance. What? How many?
No, he doesn't.
No,
We have a chance, but we got to get through Patrick Mahomes, which is good.
Well, that's how
I
we
need
felt. There's going to be a year where like they just lose. They just lose,
Yeah,
and
it's
you don't
'cause
have to
Mahomes
play.
gets injured, and
you don't have to
half the
play them, and then you just win the Super
I think
Bowl.
the difference is that
That's what happened to the Steelers.
no, I think the difference is that like through that 15-year stretch or whatever, Roethlisberger was always the second or third best quarterback in the AFC. Always, he was third when Manning was around, and then he very quickly became second. Allen is almost always third because Lamar still exists.
I
think he's
like
better.
Josh more.
So
than
do I.
Yeah,
I just
I
hate
mean,
the
great,
Ravens.
they're both awesome.
yeah. I mean, the guy won the MVP twice in his first 3 seasons.
This is one of the most absurd takes I've ever heard.
What?
Lamar is so much better than fucking Josh Allen.
Oh no,
I
Come
don't
on.
think so.
not so.
How
No.
is that
Are you
even-
kidding me?
They're racist, Conrad.
I see that. I was going to say it, but I'm glad you're the one that did it.
white
Hit the music.
Look at all three white honkies over here. Look at what happened in fucking
I just said
Midwestern
Mahomes
t-shirt.
is going to be
Fucking
the greatest
Hawkins.
And we
quarterback
raved
in
about
the history
Caleb.
of the game.
That man is whiter than
And
fucking
I'm the
Trump.
only guy sticking up for Caleb on the show other than you because of Madden. Did you say Mahomes is whiter than Trump?
Yes, I did.
These fucking Midwestern white honkies over.
You tell him, Bert.
Play the music.
I
Dun,
love
dun,
Lamar.
dun, dun,
Lamar's great.
dun.
He'll be a great quarterback.
Wait,
I mean, for what it's worth, I very often bash Lamar because I think he's unproven in big games.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
he's 1-7
For sure.
against the Steelers in his career. That's insane for a team that hasn't sniffed a playoff win in a decade. And I think Josh Allen like has that big like it factor, but the Bills don't build around him the way the Ravens build around Lamar. Like that system's so fucking built to win a championship.
Totally is. And the thing is with Lamar, too, and this I'll defend Connie's take about Lamar. Has he ever had a great wide receiver, his go-to guy? He might now with Zay Flowers.
I think he does
He's had
now
Mark
with Flowers.
Andrews a couple years.
Yeah.
Now
Andrews
we got
is a
running
stud.
back in Derrick Henry that's going to actually
He had
take a little pressure off
Anquan
him.
Bolden, but I mean he was, or maybe he didn't. Maybe
He got it.
Bolden
No, I don't think
had
he
already
did.
left.
I think that was Flacco.
Yeah, you
I
might
don't
be
think
right.
he's ever had an elite wide receiver.
Yeah,
Josh Allen, the year that we lost that heartbreaker, that was the year we were going to win the Super Bowl. We didn't get that the ending game against the Chiefs with Tyreek and Kelsey, where they won it with 13 seconds left in the game. That was our year, and we didn't win it. We
I
got
was
beaten
rooting for you
13
guys.
seconds, and the Chiefs broke our heart again. But that we also had Stephon Diggs. We had a great core. We were a tough team. That was different. Lamar's never had a Stephon Diggs
Right.
in the secondary. He's never
Yeah.
had that elite receiver.
Yeah.
If he did, maybe I think otherwise about Lamar. Maybe I think Lamar is better than Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not proven yet. And he's
He's
got to
just-
win a big game. He's never.
He does. He definitely does have to win a big game. And Josh Allen definitely does have that it factor over him so far, but I think it is also because of who he's surrounded by. Like wide receiver type wise.
I think the real takeaway from this conversation that I'm enjoying the absolute most is the fact that we've completely and utterly written off Joe Burrow.
Who?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brian.
Healthy Joe Burrow.
He's healthy now.
He's
Well,
fucking
if they
healthy.
don't-
He's healthy.
That
If
wrist
they
is done.
don't get to the AFC
Chases.
Championship game this year
He'll be
against
a Jet.
Mahomes, then I am writing off Joe Burrow.
Hey,
You
man.
have
I agree with you.
I'm
Jamar
here for the
Chase,
Tua
T.
part.
Higgins,
Hope they have Chase.
Chase might not play. Man, can we
He just
get
put
him?
pads on and he's practicing today.
Yeah.
He did?
defense.
Yep.
So
I'm
they
here
raised
for
it back to-
Tua.
They did not reach a deal, but he has pads on and he's at practice.
Oh, okay.
Go
That's
Fins.
But Burrow also has reached the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
he's done something that Josh Allen and Lamar.
Yeah, he came this close to winning.
I think it's unfortunate that they actually shipped away their chances at getting to a Super Bowl with Diggs and Gabe Davis going. I think not having
I don't know.
wide
No,
receivers-
we receivers I don't think matter
like Gabe,
that
but are
much.
you lumping Gabe up there as like an elite all-time receiver?
I think Gabe was very good.
He was a great number
I think
three.
Gabe,
Yeah.
Gabe was very, very, very good and serviceable.
He
Just
did
don't think there's
torture
that
us.
much of a fall
Serviceable,
off
but I don't
between.
think that he's
He specifically tortured the Steelers.
He went off for 100 yards in
No, he
X
had
amount of
big
games. 6,
Yeah, big
He's
games.
boomer bust.
5 or 6.
Very boomer
Coleman
bust.
will be like Coleman could be a legitimate number one
Could be.
wide receiver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could be. They got
that
to see
kid's
what he's like. I
funny.
want to see him in the red zone. He needs to be Josh's go-to target.
That kid is hilarious.
Who wins tomorrow though? Ravens or Chiefs?
Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
I mean,
we just said Lamar has never won a
big game?
I like
this
the
regular
opening
game?
game. I like the Ravens getting they're +3, right?
Yeah.
They are +3.
Seems like a coin
Remember
flip
what
to-
the Lions did to the Chiefs
I'm
on
going
opening night
contrarian,
last
and
year?
I like Ravens. Start the year.
Interesting.
I'm with Hanksy.
Well, I'm excited. Football season's on the menu.
We're
USC
here.
beat LSU last week.
Penn State beat West Virginia.
Yeah, that's a
also
good,
true.
very comparable
Yeah,
win.
Conrad was a big all in
All I
on
thought was
WV.
West Virginia's had to show up. Instead, they fucking botched 4th and 1 9 times in the first quarter.
I'd be
That's a
so
bad
rich.
team.
Penn State was much better than that.
I'd be so rich if I bet the other side of Conrad's picks.
No, you wouldn't.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Tomorrow is Thursday. We have to play the Venetian.
Yes.
That
See you
is
there.
MSPT 500K. When does that begin?
11 a.m. You got to be there early too.
No, stop.
No, I'm serious.
You guys got a above the spade.
Above the felt.
Thank you.
The spade.
Below the
What is it?
spade.
Above the
Above
felt.
the felt. All right.
A couple of us are
Above the
defending MSPT
You're getting
champions.
faded spade and above the felt combined
Yeah, above
together.
the you guys have a
Above the
tournament
spade.
tomorrow.
We
Above the
do.
tournament.
We
Above
do.
All right, boys.
But
get
it's
it
open
done.
to everybody.
Get it
It
done.
is open to everybody. $1,100 500K guarantee. I will be there. I'm going to have to talk to Papa Tom here and see if we're
About the
doing a
time
show
of
Gonna have to
beforehand.
talk to
So hopefully we're at 11 a.m. tomorrow, but I guess there's a chance we're off. We'll see. I'm going to talk to Mr. Wheaton and see if Landon and I can get a pass and show up at 12:30. But if not, we'll see you guys all Friday with our Weekend Warrior picks.
Latest, Rod.
Peace.
Good night.
Bye-bye.